Today we have a tournament game between Mako and Wheat Squads. Okay, first map's Oasis City Central, and so far Mako is going for a dive with Moira and Lucio actually. I was expecting Mako to pull out an Ana, but looks like they are going for a more close range healers. Yeah, looks like Wheat will be going for a dive setup as well. Yeah, Lucio's a really good pick on control maps. You really don't want to allow the enemy to set up first.
5, 4, 3, 2,
Okay, a soldier and a tracer. I mean, overall pretty solid. I would say that with the close range heals, it might be a little bit difficult, but then again, dive tanks are the best to avoid damage, and yeah, right now, Mako has taken the high ground. Yeah, they have a pretty strong hold on the high ground. Lumberjack's diving in alone, and followed by a D.Va. Couldn't really do much. And the point's gonna unlock now. And Mako is slowly start to make it to the point. D.Va's isolated. D.Va is alone. This will probably cost her. Oh, but Joe gets an opening pick. Wheat is stabilizing that pretty strongly in a lot of ways thanks to Joe, who got an opening pick on the main healer. Yeah, now it's just a cleanup for Wheat, and what I thought was going to start as a fairly sloppy engagement actually ended up really good. I have to give it to Joe. That opening pick was absolutely massive. Okay, now they are switching to goats. Yeah, and Wheat's setup right now is not really a brawly one. They have to play it really carefully. They have to make a lot of use of the high ground. Soldier's getting dove. He regroups with the team swiftly. And again, a pick on Moira by Joe. It's a trade, but Wheat Wheat is looking a lot stronger than I anticipated they would. Oh, but maybe I spoke too soon. They're just stalling the point. Yeah, they're not allowing a lot of... No, they took it a bit too far. So now Mako is in a dominant position. They've been given enough time to regroup. That is a questionable ult, but maybe Spoon will actually swap. Ooh, that was... Well, they're still stalling the point pretty effectively. 74-0. Very good, Wheat. Very good. Now they're going for a more brawly approach as well. But Mako is pushing forward. Again, okay, they're going through the picks. McCree's pretty good. Or May. Okay, now it makes a lot more sense. The Reaper pick alone was a bit awkward. Reaper does not count to goats, really. But in combination with May, if they can use her walls effectively, if they can make a lot of good plays with the May wall separating the team, they have a really good chance. But right now Mako is looking really dominant on that goat setup. D.Va is going to get staggered. And Wheat really needs a regroup. Their Ryan is now in mortal danger. And Nerf for me got another really big shatter. Yeah, Wheat just needs to fall back, regroup. Well, D.Va, they're going for a hero play. That's not usually a good idea with goats, given that they have 3 different forms of shields. Also speed boost and a fade. Now I have a Junkrat. Now we has a Junkrat, and they also have Blizzard now. But it's the last fight. Sadly, they couldn't engage with the Blizzard. Even though Wheat's composition was pretty good and pretty well suited, they couldn't capitalize on that. What they were running was relying a lot on Mei separating the team and making plays, and Mako just were not allowing them to make any of those plays. They were playing really coordinated. Okay, I am seeing some changes from Wheat, and Mako is going to stick to the Goats comp, which is a smart decision. It's a good brawl map, Oasis University, so it's an even better Goats map. Makes sense. I'm not sure about this. I'm not sure about the Diva pick on the side of Wheat. They could use Zarya a lot more efficiently. No, they are a lot slower. But at the same time, they can put a lot more damage in. And yeah, 2 opening picks for Mako. Yes, Mako has very stable control of the point. Right now, there wasn't much of a point in trying to stall it, really. Okay, double spam, pretty good against goats, but right now Diva, okay, good. It's an absolute bloodbath. Mako is playing this goat setup really effectively. They're just focusing targets and snowball from that. We has a good idea when it comes to compositions. I would argue that right now they need a Zarya and a strong healer. An Ana would be especially good, seeing how Goats relies on massive heals put out by Moira. So if you could land a good anti-nade, that would actually help a lot. And they are waiting. Okay. Mako's Diva is looking to make a huge play. And the tire's in. And it gets nothing, sadly. Right now, Wheat is a bit separated, but so is Mako. A lot of ults being popped up. A lot of ults. And that's... Okay, that's a 3 for 2. And Moira on the side of Mako is still alive. They really need to focus the Moira. Goat's comp falls apart the moment Moira dies. Yes, that looks like it. That just looks like the final cleanup. But no, it's going on for some time, but it should be it. Can anyone on the side of Wheat touch? Nope. Fortunately not. It can be difficult to break Goat's comp sometimes, and that is mainly because Goat's comp requires a very sort of vertical approach, horizontal approach to things. You just see something, you go in, and you all focus on it while Moira heals you. In order to break Goat's comp, you either have to get a really smart use of the high ground, which can be difficult sometimes, especially on some maps, or you can just counter it with another Goat's comp, or you can try and play around large instances of burst damage and CC. I'm talking Doomfist, I'm talking May, I am talking burst damage of 4 of
That was
Junkrat.
terrible. That was
Eh,
terrible.
It's difficult to break Goat's comp. I was basically just saying that.
Uh,
You had the right idea. Problem is, you either have to get rid of the Moira. Like, first thing first, what Joe did when he was on Tracer in the first engagement, when you were still running dive v dive. Or you have to put out ridiculous amounts of burst damage, but you have to stay together. You can't just rush into Goat's comp. That's what sort of a lot of the members of the team were doing.
thanks.
You're also getting more separated than them. You want to separate Goats, and I like the May pick, but you couldn't get any value out of the walls.
Thank you. I'll tell my team.
Okay. I mean, they did good. I thought they'd just get rolled straight away, but they only got rolled when Mako brought out Goats. What is the second map? Okay. We are going to find out what the second map is pretty soon. And it is Route 66. That is an interesting one. Generally, it was really dive dominated because you have some key high grounds like Big Girls on first, like a whole lot of... Oh no, it's Junkertown. Okay, that's simple. That's pirate ship map. Pirate ship and double snipers. Whoever can run that better and make better use of long sightlines will probably be more effective. But those are sort of the standard contenders in Overwatch League compositions that are the most popular on Junkertown. In ranked, when you're 6 stacking, one of the best things to do on Junkertown attack is to learn how to do proper pirate ship. It's an easy composition that is really difficult to counter in lower ranks. People just don't know what to do against it. Okay, Junkertown. Let's have a look. I really hope Tekis brings out a Torbjorn. Right now, after the rework, Torb can be really powerful, especially against Goat's comp, and, well, with his ult, and with the fact that he's a long-range hero, and as a tank buster. Okay, I'm seeing an Orisa, so this will probably be some variation of a pirate ship. Or they just want to ride Orisa on the payload, perhaps? Oh no, wait, they're on defense. My bad. Yeah. Mako's bringing out the double snipers. And Weed is going for a bunker setup. Ooh. This... I don't think they will go through with it. Like... Yes, they're just bringing out the double snipers. A really good comp. If you have the DPS that can effectively play both Widow and Hanzo as a duo, this is a deadly setup on Junkertown because of the long sightlines and a lot of high ground. Okay. And Diva got caught out. Oh no, Diva is Z-Mec'd and separated from a team. Right now, they should either reposition or contest. Good, they got Orisa. This is really good, but the main problem is right now, composition-wise, A good, even if a bit sloppy, defense by Wheat. The main problem right now is if the snipers can find effective sightlines, then Anna and Soldier will struggle. Yep, Anna got cut out of position. And Mako should easily stabilize that. It's Brig and the 2 DPS. There goes Brig. And Soldier escaped. Good. But Mako has wall hacks. Diva shouldn't have engaged there. Never peek out as Anna. Anna's the worst hero to peek. Right now we should just take the high ground on the second. They might, yes, they are getting staggered. They are getting hardcore staggered. When you lose first on Junkertown, you want to take the high ground. You want to be the first one to be able to set up on the high ground.
I've got you in my sights.
Okay. Those are 2 picks. Very nice. And they also switched their composition to a dive, which might be a good idea. Right now they have a decent answer to the double snipers. I would argue that maybe having a dive DPS will be useful. Right now they have a really strong backline, but it is diminished a bit by the fact that Mako's not really running anything to dive the backline. And they can do it. If they destroy the supercharger and brawl on point, they can easily do it. Someone needs to contest the Widow. Right now, she's just having the time of her life. Nice. Very good. Very good. Killing the Widow. But Mako's slowly but surely stabilizing it. Sweet have managed to stall it for some time, but unfortunately, I don't quite get the May pick there. Maybe it was just a stall. I'm not sure if they're gonna commit to it. Widow is in a very bad position, yes, and Widow on the side of We gets picked off. They should have regrouped way earlier. There is no shame in trying to regroup when you know that you wouldn't be able to contest the point and when you're not sure. It's better to be able to meet the opponent earlier on the next point, rather than try and contest, lose the fight, or not be able to contest at all, and then have to sort of come back from an even worse situation than you were before. This May pick is really weird. I mean, she's a more all-around character, but she excels against the brawl comp, not bunkers. That is an absolute bloodbath. And Anna is separated. And this is it. This is it for the attacking round from Mako.
Score 0-3. Switching sides.
Oh, I wonder what Mako will bring out on defense. Please tell me it will involve a Torb. Okay. Wheat wants to bring out a pirate ship. Although I would argue the picks are far from optimal for a pirate ship. I would have definitely swapped Hanzo for Widow, but then again there are not that many good Widow players on console in general. And definitely drop a Hog for Diva, for extra protection with the defense matrix for the Bastion. But Mako is ready for that. I generally like their setup. Again, might have gone for a Widow instead, but... And there goes the res. And the hack in the Bastion. Yes, this Sombra will be the bane of this pirate ship. Right now, pirate ship is... has no main tank, has no tanks at all, in fact. And the Bastion is gonna get staggered. It will be quite difficult to set up the Bastion on the payload again. Even though it's not that far away from spawn, it will still be tricky. Oh, but the Hawk on Mako gets hooked, but he gets away. Superchargers in the game. But right now, Mako is one up. Right now, Lumberjack's kind of just standing there, not doing much. And he gets charged. He charges in. Problem is, he's now alone. He does create space with that reckless charge. Oh, that was a risky res. It should have been covered by something, even if it's just Roadhog body blocking. Zen is looking for some flanks, but he gets chased down by 2 tanks. He pops his trans. And right now the tanks are in the small room, way out of position. Okay. Seems that Wheat has finally found some kind of a stable footing. Right now Mako aren't getting much value out of those ults. They've popped 2, but maybe they're looking to swap. I mean, their composition is still pretty good. Hanzo has both shield break and pick off potential. Sombra is really good against Doomfist, so I think they will stay with the picks they have. And Mako took the high ground. Right now, Mako has some control of the high ground. But Archangel gets picked off. Instantly rezzed. And right now... Ooh. That's why you always cover a res for your Mercy. Unless you can get natural cover. That was a pretty valuable Dragon ult. But both tanks on the side of Mako are still alive, and they're still... Yep, they're still holding quite strong. And the Mercy helps quite a bit. One of the issues with running a Mercy as a main healer now is raw healing output. 50 heals a second are not enough to sustain a tank or to top them off fast enough. So you might end up just healing a lot more than damage boosting, where the current value of Mercy lies. Doomfist is looking for big ult. But he can land. I'm surprised he didn't just choose the high ground with both Hanzo and Anna. He gets picked off. It's kind of tricky to run a Doomfist into that because... Shh. Right now Mako is, I'd say, slightly in the lead with their ult economy. They're both support ults, as well as dragons in play. We has 2 tank ults, but with the current map and geometry, it will be difficult to land a shatter unless you force the enemy team to contest the point. Sombra is looking for a good play. Yep, gets a good pick, but Archangel's popping off. I see him consistently in the kill feed on this Hanzo. I'm not sure if it was deliberate, but that was kind of weird ult. Most of your team is dead, and maybe he wanted to switch. It always feels bad when you just have to drop an ult, to give up an ult and not use it. Yes, they're looking for a switch. They're going for a full Zarya Ryan setup. And will they be able to get a res? Yes. Okay. That is a favorable trade, I would say, in a way. Yeah, this is probably the last attack that Weed will get. Junkertown is kind of tricky to play with Ryan Zarya, because you have a lot of high ground and 2 tanks with no vertical mobility. Yeah. As you see, Lumberjack has been holding onto his shatter pretty much since he got it. It's impossible to land big shatter when the whole enemy team is on the high ground. Right now it's just the Hog on the payload. Anna and Hanzo will have to contest. If Anna will get punished right now, they still have a decent chance. Nope. They still have a Sombra in the back lines. And Mako is surprisingly effective at stalling this point. And finally Lumberjack was able to use the shatter. Yeah. Right now the backline of Weed really suffers. In the current meta you can't really run Mercy and Zen with your Ryan and Zarya. You won't be able to pump enough damage, and as Tekis has shown us here, a Sombra will just wreck your backline. Because your Mercy suddenly can't peel for the Zen, unlike when you run the same composition with dive tanks. Not even the 4th card.
That's more like it.
Not sure if they will play the 3rd map or if it's just a best of 3. Right now in the current meta, you really need to know what works and what doesn't on different maps, and how to counter it. Mako countered the pirate ship really effectively, and I would say that it was a mistake on Wheat's part to go for Ryan Zarya setup. They should have maybe gone for the dive tanks, since they had troubles contesting the high ground. But there is also a question of the difference in mechanical skill, in game sense, positioning, and all of those things on a more individual level. A lot of members of Mako are Diamond and Masters players, while we has players, I believe, mostly in the Gold to Platinum range at the moment. Additionally, Wheat is an introductory squad, so you can't really expect them to have the level of teamwork Mako does, for, well, both of those reasons. A lot of people are new, they haven't really played in a coordinated environment with shockholes and target callers, while Mako has more experience as a squad and has more people who play in higher ranks, where you generally expect a slightly higher level of organization in game. They are going to play the last map, Numbani. Now, Numbani First is a really versatile map. You can run a lot of things there, and therefore you can counter it with a lot of different compositions.
Traveling to Mumbai.
Second, it's kind of the same, although it might be difficult to hold second, because most people just want to play on the low ground. And then they kind of just forget to contest the high ground at all. And it works both ways, sort of. Your defending team will not set up anything on the high ground, and your attacking team will not try and capitalize on that, and the other way around. Third one, since there is not that much high ground and open sidelines you can run, Orion Zarya, it's generally a lot of third points on hybrid and escort maps are really good for Orion Zarya. Okay. So right now, Mako is on the attacking side, and it looks like, yes, they will be bringing a classic Mercy meta dive.
Attackers incoming in 30 seconds.
Generally a really strong composition for this map. You might argue that maybe a Pharah will work better, but a defensive Pharah on the Bunny First generally works better than an offensive one. And I am seeing two builders. Not necessarily a bad idea. Right now they might make it just so that you wouldn't be able to really dive Wheat if they play this composition right.
3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
Who would have seen that one day you will have two builders in a tournament game, and it would actually make sense. Mako was controlling the high ground. Okay, both healers on the side of Wheat are down. They were playing this composition quite passively. I also don't think there's much of a point in running a Mercy on the side of Wheat instead of something like a Lucio or even a Zenyatta, but better a Lucio. While she's not the most diveable support, she's still fairly diveable, and you can't get any value out of boosting someone. You don't really have characters that deal a lot of burst damage by themselves. We're moving into the streets phase of Numbani, and Tekis has been a huge pain for Wheat and for their backline. Both tanks are down. Yeah. Mako is just rolling through. A simple cleanup, and the Torbjorn is not really using his turret in a proactive way. I haven't seen him set it up on high ground or sort of anywhere where it would require Mako to go and deal with it and pump resources and just dealing with the turret. And they were late to contest, sadly. Wouldn't quite call it a C9, but that was super close to what a classic C9 is. And they let that res go. Huge pulse bomb. And they are still committing to this fight. Even though they basically won it, they are still committing to it. They want to just push further. A questionable Mortal Core, but it manages to separate the team, but not before Nerf Me finishes off a Diva, and Tekka's manages to get a pick on a Mercy. Yes, right now Mako is just pushing into their spawn, not allowing we to regroup. They just have to contest. They just have to try and stall it. And unfortunately they couldn't. Classic dive can work really well if you can just snowball the fight. Because all it takes is one good initiation. And they have a whole 5 minutes on the clock. Jesus. Yes, the Torbjorn. I was waiting for this moment. I hope they actually stick with it. Torbjorn is generally really good on first point defense maps. He was good even before his rework on Numbani First in particular. You could see some pro teams running the old Torbjorn instead of one of the healers. That was during different meta when you could run Mercy solo heals and be pretty fine with it. Especially in dive and bunker setups, or if we don't have to pump a lot of heals in your tank for it to do damage. Please tell me they're sticking to the Torbjorn. Yes, yes, I see Torbjorn moving towards point.
Attackers incoming in 30 seconds.
Moira and Anna. That is a lot of healing. With this map, with this high ground, you could play Zenyatta instead of a Moira, I feel. But it's a really good Anna map. First point especially and third are great for Anna. Second, it might be difficult to find your footing. You want to ideally be set on the high ground or further back, but it makes you a lot more open to flankers. Okay. Very little heals on the side of Weed. So it's a lot of heals versus very little heals. And an opening pick for Mako. Right now the main tank is on the high ground and totally separated from his team. He can't really do anything. He will get sacked. Yes. Hanzo is hacked, but it's difficult to pull out a hack and a kill in a Hanzo. Anything that just requires skill shots, and doesn't rely on abilities that much. So Hanzo, Widow, McCree, and who's the other? And Reaper are generally not very good hack targets. Even Zen, I would argue, if you were to attack a Zen, you are better off just trying to kill him rather than hack him and then fire. Hey. Right now we're just playing around this high ground while a Mei is trying to flank. And a Mei lost the duel to Hanzo. While they are moving towards point, they are still one down. A lot of ults on both sides, but Maker should be able to stabilize that. Yes. Right now I don't feel that Weed is getting a lot of value out of the Sombra pick. Sombra is the best character for scouting, but you do get less overall damage and should ideally play either for picks or for high value hacks and EMPs. In the tank heavy meta, like the ladder meta right now, and the Sombra gets picked. I don't know why. That was a really weird decision to uncloak that. Ryan is very low. They did switch for a... They did switch to a high healing output character. They did switch to Moira, which is good. they still can't crack that defense. That is mainly because there is always someone out of position for Hisham on Hanzo to just punish. Maker's playing this really conservatively, and that works really well for them. They haven't given up a single tick. And once again, two people on the side of Weed fall. They really should regroup. They should not. Oh, that's a huge EMP, but can we capitalize on that? Doesn't look like it. Best character to focus there would have been Diva for sure, but barely any damage was done to her. Oh, this is sad. I don't think they can make... No, someone is stalling. Can someone get back? Can someone get back and stall? This doesn't look like... Yeah, this is it. This is it for the series. A really clean 3-0 by Mako. And the Torbjorn player of the game. Who would have thought? Well, this was it for this series. Congratulations to Mako.